works for Got it. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Maybe they're just not as...
Stand up. I could stand up through the whole... through the... Yeah, it's okay. It's easier for me to stand up. I could actually stand up through the whole meeting if I could.
Well, I think that's a pretty, packed and pretty exciting.
I went to the Athena thing that stood against the wall. The only thing it had to be right next to Dave's. It's usual self.
But it's 4.5
I did not too close.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know of any place close, so other than...
No, and anything less than about 6 hours.
Oh my God, she worries, and she's texting me all the time. It's like, I know. She works so hard, I just can't.
I mean,
Get out to the game there, time to eat some lunch, by the game.
We'll stay that.
We've done it for the picture meeting. They're on. They're just muted. I think it's so ugly. They're supposed to already starting to look ugly.
I know.
No, you know, you just have to get paid.
We watched Kentucky play the other night. It did look like we should win. You never know because they come out against us.
We beat them the last 2 times we played them at Allen Field House and in Kentucky last year.
I think I heard on the radio we're still 8-22.
And we're only 1-4 overall in this Champions Class.
At least we're there.
Yeah. Next year's in Indianapolis and 2019 back.
It's always the big time in the news.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is the highlight of the basketball season.
Talking heads tonight were saying,
Yeah, she said she kept wondering why her dad was there. Why her dad was there. Her dad was there taking pictures. So why is he here? No, tomorrow. Oh, Thursday. Thursday I'm going to go to the Grossman Center. No, CAP. It's not CAP. CCA. Is it CCA?
Yeah, that's right.
CCA. I'm going to go there tomorrow. I'm going to the USP 120th anniversary and I'm going to speak there.
yeah, in Oklahoma City. And we were doing check-in at Marriott. Went over the game.
The usual. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Why we did it that day, but that seemed crazy.
Tell stories about my dad. That's my plan. Grandpa.
Stick around and watch the game. Never did.
Dad, Grandpa, Uncle, and then Elmer Bowder. And Elmer Bowder. After teaching auto body and mechanics, there were quite a few people. He got jobs here in town afterwards, after they got discharged from prison. And some of them are really good families here. You'd never know that their grandfather was a convict. So I think it's ready to start. Let's go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your City Commission meeting. Please turn off all your cell phones before the meeting starts. And we will begin with the call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda, we have a couple of proclamations this evening. Is Pamela Sarles here? Would you like to come forward? Whereas the history and culture of our great nation has been significantly influenced by American Indians and indigenous peoples. And whereas the contributions of American Indians have enhanced the freedom, prosperity, and greatness of America today. And whereas their customs and traditions are respected and celebrated as part of a rich legacy throughout the United States. And whereas Native American Awareness Week began in 1976, and recognition was expanded by Congress and approved in 1990, designating the month of November as a National American Indian Heritage Month. And whereas in honor of National American Indian Heritage Month, community celebrations as well as numerous cultural, artistic, educational, and historical activities have been planned. Now therefore I, Nancy Bowder, Mayor of the City of Leavenworth, by virtue of this proclamation, urge all our citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities, and do hereby proclaim November 17 to be National American Indian Heritage Month. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. I was so excited when I was selected to be the Native American chairperson, because it had always been a dream of mine to find out if I had any Native American blood, me being of such fair skin. And so I did my DNA test, and lo and behold, I have a very, 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 very minute amount of Native American in me. I had been adopted, and so when I found out that I was part Native American, I was so excited, and so I joined a couple of the groups on Facebook, and they have come around to saying that if you even have one drop of Native blood, then you're Native. So just be grateful for the Natives and what all that they have done for this great country. Thank you.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you. Next we have, is Wendy Scheid here? Okay. Small Business Saturday, November 25. There you are. Whereas Small Business Saturday is a Shop Local campaign held on the Saturday following Thanksgiving to encourage reinvestment in small business across the country. And whereas small businesses employ over 55% of America's workers either owning or working for a small business. And whereas 87% of consumers in the United States agree that small businesses are critical to the overall economic health of the United States. And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, and whereas the City of Leavenworth wishes to recognize the contributions that small businesses make to our community and local economy. And now therefore, I, Nancy Bowder, Mayor of the City of Leavenworth, Kansas, do hereby proclaim November 25, 2017 as Small Business Saturday. Congratulations, thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Main Street always participates in Small Business Saturday, but this year we've done a little bit extra. So we have the Leavenworth Main Street $1,000 Main Street Bucks giveaway. So that means that any Main Street business, it could be a service business, it could be a bank if they wanted to participate, an auto body shop, retailers, restaurants can participate in this. For every $25 that a customer spends on Small Business Saturday, they'll get a ticket to be put in that container. All of those containers will come back to Main Street, and the following week we'll do 10 $100 drawings of Main Street bucks. They can be spent at Main Street businesses. So anyway, we're kicking that off. We have lots of swag that will be around. I'll present you with 5 buttons for the commissioners. These fun bags will be available at many merchants as well. There's doormats and lots of other things, but we're in the swing of things, and it tends to be a great Saturday for small businesses. We're going to encourage our merchants to be open all Thursdays in December as well. We have a winter wine walk that's December 7th, the first Thursday. There's 2 more Thursdays, so we're hoping the lighting that you're adding and all the excitement downtown, that many more people will come to downtown Leavenworth and spend their money locally on their gifts and family members.
Absolutely.
Thank
you,
you.
Wendy, for what you do for our community.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is presentation of service awards. In 2017, 10 employees reached a milestone in their career with the City of Leavenworth. These employees are being recognized for their faithful, dedicated, loyal, and continuous service to the city. In turn, they are being recognized on the local level at the City Commission meeting and are presented their chosen awards and certificates by the mayor. In addition to recognizing the 10 and 25-year awards, we are also recognizing those employees who have continued loyal service to the city and/or local government. A list of those obtaining 15 and 20 years of services will be at the end of this report. So, are we ready? Okay. 10-year awards. Matt Chastain, not here? Oh, okay, thank you, I'll do that. Is receiving the 10-year award. Andrea Cheatham is receiving her 10-year award, and she is a housing manager. Matt Chastain is a firefighter. Nicholas Greenwood. Congratulations, sir. You stand here for a minute while I talk about you. Nick was hired on January 11, 2007 as a firefighter. He was promoted to driver-operator on April 28, 2011, and promoted to fire captain on May 8, 2014, the position he holds today. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Tammy Herkin. Tammy Herkin? Is she not on the list? Okay. There she is. Okay. Tammy was hired on May 31, 2007 as a telecommunications specialist, the position she holds today. Congratulations, and thank you for your service to the city. Bobby Johnston? No? Roberta Johnston? Okay. Bobby was hired on February 22, 2007 as records clerk. She transferred to municipal court as a court clerk on August 2, 2012, the position she holds today. Next person, John Lemke, who's not here today, was hired on July 5, 2007 as WPC Operator 1. He was promoted to WPC Operator 2 on February 19, 2009, the position he holds today. Brandon Mance. Brandon Mance here? Brandon was hired on November 15, 2007 as a police officer and earned his reclassification to Police Officer 1 on November 21, 2013. He was promoted to police detective on November 20, 2014, the position he holds today. Congratulations, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Next item is 25-year awards. Brian Anderson. He retired. Brian was hired as a police officer on February 12, 1992. He was promoted to detective on March 19, 2009, and was reclassified as Detective 1 on April 1, 2013. He was promoted to police sergeant on January 16, 2014, the position he retired from on September 20, 2017. Thank you for your service, and congratulations on your retirement. Timothy Huggins. Tim was hired as a firefighter on May 22, 1992. He was promoted to driver-operator on September 11, 1999, and promoted to fire lieutenant on March 22, 2007. Tim was promoted to fire captain on January 30, 2014, the position he holds today. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. Walter Tarrin? He's not here. Okay. Walt was hired as a firefighter on May 22, 1992. He was promoted to driver-operator on November 7, 1997, and promoted to fire captain on March 10, 2005, the position he retired from on June 15, 2017. Thank you for your service and happy retirement. Next item on the agenda. He's out of the way. No. Got it. Okay, you don't have any written stuff on that? Okay, got it. Okay, thank you. 15 years of service. Roberta Eddy, telecommunications specialist. Roberta's not here today. Okay. Stephen Grant, Parks and Recreation Director. Congratulations and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Cope. Riverfront Community Center custodian. Thank you so much for your service, Thomas. "20 years of service. Carol Charity, Manager of Information Systems, is not here. Tyler Ewert, Fire Captain, not here. Sean Gacke, sorry, Goki. Sean? Good thing you didn't hear me mispronounce his name. Police Lieutenant, congratulations on your years of service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Danny Hall, Police Sergeant. Sergeant Hall, thank you for your 20 years of service.
Thank you.
Johnny Sweet, Police Officer 2, not here. And Patrick Tooley, Section 8 Coordinator. Not here. Okay. You have everybody. There. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, next item on the agenda is the welcoming new employees. Okay. All right, new employees to be welcomed tonight. Benjamin Heath, Police Officer. Ben was hired on June 2, 2016 as a police officer. He was deployed shortly after completing the academy and has recently returned from military service. He previously was in the Army for 9 years and has worked for a management supervisor. As a management supervisor, I'm sorry. Thank you, sir, and welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
James Watson. James was hired on July 13, 2017 as a police officer. He graduated from DeQueen High School before earning an associate degree in criminal justice from Grantham University. He has served over 21 years in the United States Army. Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Albert Wilcox. Albert was hired on July 20, 2017 as a solid waste collector. He graduated from Shawnee Heights High School and previously worked at ACH Foam as a machine operator, not marine operator.
Maybe.
Okay, welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Clay Siebert. Clay was hired in July 2017 as a solid waste collector. He graduated from Leavenworth High School, yahoo, and previously worked for Genco FedEx Chain Supply. Welcome to Leavenworth, sir. Glad to have you here. Letitia Robinette. Letitia was hired on July 28, 2017 as a police officer. She graduated from Durant High School and earned an associate degree in criminal justice from Fayetteville Community College. She previously worked as a lead teacher at KinderCare. Very nice to have you.
Thank you.
Ryan Carr Pierce. Ryan was hired on August 10, 2017 as a WPC Operator 1. He graduated from Lansing High School and earned his associate's degree in computer engineering at KCKCC. He is currently in the U.S. Army Reserves and was previously employed as a correction officer for the Kansas Department of Correction. Welcome to Leavenworth. Jeremy Mitchell. Jeremy was hired on September 7, 2017 as a solid waste collector. He graduated from Leavenworth High School and previously worked as an attendant for Olympic Car Wash. We're glad to have you, sir. Thank you. Chris Mills. Chris was hired on October 19, 2017 as a zoning and code administrator. He graduated from Lansing High School and has an associate's degree from Community College of the Air Force. Chris served in the Air Force for over 23 years and previously worked in security for Hollywood Casino. Welcome to Leavenworth. Glad to have you. I think that's it, right, for the new employees? Thank you. Okay, move on with the rest. Okay, well, everybody clears out. We'll move on with the agenda. Consideration of previous minutes. Minutes from the October 24, 2017 regular meeting. Any comments or issues with that?
Madam Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes from the October 24th, 2017 regular meeting as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Weekly?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, new business. The first item is citizen participation. That is any items that are not listed currently on the agenda or receipt of petitions. Yes, ma'am. Would you come to the podium and state your name and address, please?
Hello, I'm Amanda Reed. I live at 604 North 2nd in Lansing.
What'd you say your name? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Amanda Reed, R-E-E-D. 604 North 2nd in Lansing, Kansas.
Go ahead.
I was directed here today. I'm here in behalf of my husband. His mother's house, which we just realized has been given to him in her death. We had no idea. We just found her will when we were cleaning out her car. It's been put on the demo list, and we were hoping for reconsideration on that.
What is the address, please?
1214 Potawatomi.
Usually can talk a little bit about this property and about the contact we've had so far with the property.
Okay, so we're not going to consider this issue tonight, right?
You would probably, it is on the demo list, and the demo list is moving forward.
Right.
They had asked if they could address the commission, certainly
Okay.
the commission's discretion on what they want to do.
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
So So basically, his mother died last June in a car accident that the both of them were in. A couple months later, his brother passed away actually in the house. So obviously, like, dealing with the house has not been something that he's emotionally been able to do. We were cleaning out her car and came upon her will that said there was a transfer of death deed transferring the home to David when her death occurred. So we went down to take care of all that. We're told that it was put on the demo list. We actually we've been speaking with realtors to sell it to investors to fix it up and sell it again. And we're just hoping for reconsideration so that we can do this.
Do you think the house is marketable the way it is now? Or does it need work?
It needs, like, the things that when we went down to, well, I guess we came here, they said it needed, like, roof work, siding, windows. Like, it's gonna need work, but we're not looking to make a huge amount of money or anything. We just don't, I mean, it's the last thing of his mom's. We don't want to see it demolished. It's on a lot so small that nothing could be rebuilt on it. So we would like to see it, fixed up and still there.
What do you plan to do with it? I know where the house is.
Selling it.
Right, we want to sell it.
Looks like you're selling.
We have 2 kids and there's not enough room for us to live there, but.
Are there any other pictures besides this?
Right now, as Paul said, we're going through the demo process, and so the pictures I've got here are from about a week ago. We had our asbestos contractor out, which is one of the steps we have to go through in order to take these through the process. So these are the pictures that our contractor got for us. We've got some exterior as well as some interior. Basically the things that we would need to expect to bring this off of the demolition list would be to replace the roof, replace or repair the siding, and replace or repair any doors and windows that are broken out. And this house, our asbestos contractors do go inside the properties. They have to for their asbestos work, and so we've got pictures of the interior. The interior is actually almost in better shape than we thought it might be. We get into some of the properties and it's just not salvageable, but the interior, you can tell it just hasn't been lived in for a while. So it probably is salvageable if they're wanting to put some time and effort into it.
I guess I would have to see the list of the code violations now and then what the plan is to fix it up.
Question I have, Ms. Reed. Well, I'm sorry for your loss of your mother-in-law and obviously your brother-in-law too. Quite a bit to handle in a short period of time. But this house obviously is put on the demo list for obvious reasons. I mean, you can see the exterior. And I admire that you want to keep it and possibly sell it. But if we do remove it from the demo list, that means somebody can buy it at some point if in fact you can sell it. And if they choose to do something with it, they can or they can't. And we go through this process, be another drag on that neighborhood for months and months to come. I'd be willing to work with you if you put the work into it, but if you're just going to have it for sale, I'm not a realtor, but I know that's probably on a 24-foot frontage, and that's the lot width, I'm guessing, is a 24-foot frontage. And obviously, if it's destroyed, another house cannot be rebuilt on it. But putting on a roof, siding, windows, and once again, not being a contractor or a realtor, I'm guessing it's probably 10 grand to bring it up to code.
Absolutely.
I don't know that that house right now would bring 10 grand in its condition.
Right.
I mean, it's like a wash to either demo it or you need to put 10 grand in it to possibly maybe get 15 to 20 grand out of it. I mean, that's, again,
right.
That's a risk. And, I do admire, I understand the thought you want to keep it in your, for your mother-in-law's memory, but I can't in good conscience take it off the demo list unless you repair it, not say we want to sell it and hope someone else repairs it, because then there's another blighted house in the community for another long period of time. So that's my feeling on it. But I understand your plight, but I would say if you're going to work on this immediately and getting it fixed, I'd be for it, but we're pretty far in the process. And who all have we made notification to during the process?
The owner that was listed on the title search that we did was her mother-in-law, Mary Manthe, and so that's who notification was sent to. Obviously, she was already deceased at that point, so it came back to us as undeliverable. But we do also post notification on the property. We actually staple it to the door, so we've done that as well throughout the process.
Ms. Reed, what did you, when your mother-in-law passed away, and was your brother living in that house?
He was.
Okay, when he passed away, I mean, what did you think? Did you think they're renting it, or what?
I mean, at the time, that wasn't even a thought in our mind. I mean, I don't know if you want the details, but, you know, that wasn't a thought at all. It's been really hard on my husband, considering him and his brother weren't very close, but his mother was like the last close relative he had, so he just had a really hard time dealing, hence why it's over a year later and we're trying to get things settled now. As far as us making the repair, you know, I'd love to, but I've got a 3-month-old son and a 7-year-old autistic daughter. I don't work. He's the only one who works. He works for LCF. I'd love to say, yeah, we can absolutely do it, which is why we were looking for investors who, they take the rundown houses, they flip them and sell them. We're not trying to make a profit. We just don't want to see it torn down on a lot that you can't rebuild on.
Do you have an investor?
I've spoken with 2 different realtors who both have interested investors, and we've had 3 people in the community who have said, get that under lock and come talk to me.
How far along are we, Ms. Hurley? We've done the asbestos.
We've had the asbestos, the environmental testing. We have not put them out to bid for demolition contractors yet, but we're getting close to the point where we would be doing that, but have not done that yet.
Have we had, are the utilities disconnected?
Utilities have been disconnected.
Have we done the sewer caps?
I don't believe those have been done yet.
What happens when it's sewer's capped?
It's just an additional cost.
To us, and additional cost to someone else if they want to put it back on.
Correct.
How much is it, if that was my property and it was sewer capped and I said I want the sewer back on, how much am I going to have to pay?
I'm not sure how much it would cost to turn it back on. Sewer caps, we usually pay around $800 to do. So I would guess it would be about that to turn it back on. I'm not sure of that cost, that we've never incurred that as the city.
And I don't know if this is something we can vote on right now since this is like that. My thought, I would love to work with you, Ms. Reed, and do something like continue what we're doing, but 60 days from now or first meeting, whatever 60 days is, or whatever the other commissioners think, if in fact we can vote on it. So either get it sold in 60 days, you got somebody who's going to turn it, otherwise you know, it's a blight, and it's...
That was actually, I was going to ask if we could just have till like the first of the year to find a promising buyer to invest into it.
Not somebody say, hey, I got somebody interested. I mean, it's sold.
Right.
Sold.
Right.
Sold. And
No, yeah, absolutely. If by the first of the year, there's no go, then, and like I said, we're not here to like make a profit, obviously. We just don't want to.
There's not a great amount of profit.
No, not at all. So, you know, we just don't want to see it torn down.
Madam Mayor, I don't know
where
we are procedurally.
Continuance, Paul, if that's...
Julie, when would the bid packets, when do you anticipate having the bid packets ready?
I would have to check with our community development coordinator. I would think the bid packets would be going out the first part of December. I would let you know too, in October when the commission reviewed the entire list of structures, there was another property that you gave a 90-day extension to, so we've now had about 30 days lapsed. So if you were wanting to give an extension, a 60-day extension would put this kind of in that same time frame as that other one, so we'd have them kind of bunched together.
Okay, and then
if you were wanting to do an extension.
If somebody new bought it, then they would have to they would have to follow the rules then to get.
They would have to bring it into compliance, yes.
Okay. I'd be all right with that.
And does it make sense now what benefit do we have to do the sewer cap now versus 60 days from now?
If we were to give them an extension, if the commission were to give them an extension, doing the sewer cap now would really be just kind of an unnecessary expense for the city. Assuming that they were able to sell it, then that would just be money that we had spent for a property that was going to end up being rehabilitated, and an additional expense for that property owner. Any costs that we incur are then levied on that property, so they would in effect be paying for that plus
Who does the
to
sewer
reconnect.
cap?
We have to contract a licensed plumber.
Okay, so say we have 8 houses on the demo. We list them all for demo, and the bulldozing company bids on all 8, and they'll give us a better price than one at a time. So we bump all 8. Now in sewer caps, each one is $800, whether you do 1 or 10.
Yeah.
1 will be 800, 10 will be 8,000.
Yeah, I don't think there's really
There's
any
no
economy
cheaper
of
by the
scale
dozen
with
on that
the
one.
sewer
Okay.
cap, yeah.
Okay, so obviously it'd be foolish for your sake and our sake to do that, if in fact, but I don't know what the procedure is. Can we vote on something like this right now? And
We just make a motion to extend it.
Carla, what would you
Carla?
prefer if they were to?
Mr. Attorney.
Well, the rules do allow you to bring up a motion as long as you all agree to it and make a decision.
Okay.
Yeah,
We are.
I agree to, under the circumstances, just slowing it down and extending over the 60 days. This will also give them the opportunity to really get a handle, talk to a real investor, see if it's really going to be worth it for somebody
Absolutely.
to take that on. Yeah, because
We actually had someone that was going to meet us the day
There
we found
may
out.
not be any profit in this and not worth anyone's while, and at least you would know that going in.
Right, right.
Okay, so yeah, I'm amenable to that.
when we said 60 days, are we talking January 14th, or does it make better sense to you January 1st?
You gave the extension to the other on October 10th, so we'd be looking, I would have to look at the date we're bringing the other one back, but I believe it'd be the second meeting in January when we'd be bringing that back, so we could bring this back at the same time.
Okay.
Second meeting or the first regular meeting?
First regular meeting after 90 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I would have to look at a calendar, I'm sure.
I can tell
Not
you
sure
what
if
the
Carlos got
date
the
we
date.
gave the other structure. Just a minute to bring that up. The other structure was given repair on or before January 23rd.
Okay.
Why don't we do that? Put it the same.
Yeah, Ms. Reed, I'm going to make a motion, and I don't know if it'll be seconded or voted on, but we do extend till the 23rd, which does mean it's still on the demo list. So, I mean, you're probably duty bound, or your realtor's duty bound to let people know things on the demo list. If things don't move, they give you some money, and all of a sudden a bulldozer runs,
Well, that was my next question, because I don't want any miscommunication. Sold by the 23rd and someone
I'm
in
saying
there to
sold
work
by
on
the
it?
23rd, yeah.
Okay, so it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's-
have to have a new roof, siding, and windows by the 23rd, but sold and someone in the process of doing those things?
That's a good question. I'd say definitely sold by the 23rd, not a contract, because,
Right,
the title
right.
has to be transferred. And then whoever those people are, they're going to be put on notice right away that
Okay.
they've got, whatever, they're going to
Okay.
come in with a plan pretty quick.
Right.
Or do we want sold and a rental plan put in by the 23rd? I don't know. What does the commission think?
Well, at least whoever the buying party is, I'd say they at least need to have a general idea of the plan. They need to know what it is to bring it up to code, but they need to show financial resources to be able to bring it up to code.
So a sold and a remediation agreement?
Well, they're gonna, they'll
Okay.
be abreast of the remediation.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we've
agreement.
got that
But with the-
prepared already, so if they're able to find a seller, and they can get their buyer in contact with us, we can get that to them right away and make sure that they are agreeable to any of the repairs that needs to be done.
Carla,
I would want to mention that whenever a property is put on the demolition from the resolution, that is filed with the Register of Deeds, so that is filed on that property, which is actually how they found out about it. So typically, if there's something, that type of a lien on a property, it can't change hands until we release it, and I don't know that we want to release it without, I mean, I'm just kind of thinking through.
I understand
don't know
what
that
you're
we would want
saying.
to
Yeah,
release
if-
it, and then we would have to start the process over if a new buyer didn't do anything with it, so.
Ms. Reed, the motion I'm going to make is that it has to be sold and have a remediation agreement on or before 23 January 2018. Obviously, what the city clerk said, you know, if all of a sudden, or on December 15th, you've got a seller or a buyer and you're changing hands, there's some legal hoops that you're going to have to jump through to get this thing removed from the demo list. And I'm sure a realtor will be able to work that, and would they talk to the Register of Deeds of your office, or?
Yeah, my office would have to, I would have to release
Yeah.
it. There also is some nuisance fees on there, so that lien also is on the property. with
How
the
much in
city.
nuisance fees?
About $1,300.
Yeah, from, we had to do 4 mowings on the property this year,
So that's around
earlier in the
1,300.
year, yeah.
So, you know, somebody's going to have to put in quite a bit of money. Okay. Madam Mayor, I move that we keep property 1214 Potawatomi on the demo list, extend the demo suspense date till January 23rd, 2018, and that property must be sold and have a remediation agreement in place prior to January 23rd, 2018.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Please begin voting with Commissioner Rainey.
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Good luck,
Motion
Ms.
carried.
Reed.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak this evening in the city? Yes, sir. Please state your name and address.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Timothy Drabick. I live at 1234 Limit Street.
What was your last name, sir? I don't hear real well.
Drabick.
Drabick? Okay.
I was actually sent here by Animal Control and Chief Kitchens in regards to an issue I'm having. I currently have 4 dogs that reside at my house, and I have been recommended for a PTSD service dog. Now, my understanding was that working dogs were not considered as pets. However, everybody I have spoken to says I have to abide by the city ordinance, which is 4 dogs, which I can understand that. Okay, we've raised our dogs since they were babies, and getting rid of one of them is like getting rid of a member of the family. And it's kind of hard for me to sit there and tell my girls that, yeah, you know, we have to pick a dog to get rid of because Dad has to have a service dog because I can't function in normal society. What I'm asking is for either an amendment to the ordinance to include to not include working dogs as part of that process, because technically they're not considered pets. They are on the job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and anywhere a veteran goes that has a service dog or a therapy dog, that animal goes with them to help take care of them, to alert them. And I mean, this goes also for all other people that are suffering from disabilities in life. If they have a dog, that dog goes with them everywhere it goes. It's a working dog. It's not a pet. It's not an animal you take home and you play with and you throw a ball with out in the backyard, anything like that.
Well, our codes, you know, are figured out by, you know, the size of your lot, the size of the community, and that's, you know, there's a lot. I mean, we're not out in the country here, so we have a limit on just the number of animals, and I realize that a service dog is an extension of you. I realize that, but you also have 4 other dogs.
Yes, ma'am, and they are all, with the exception of one who is getting his license and everything taken care of next month, they are all up to date on their shots and everything else. I can afford to take care of them, that's not a problem. But I'm asking on behalf of not just myself, but everybody with disabilities, you know, for an exemption or an adjustment to that amendment, that if they can legitimately prove that they need a service dog, which I can because I have the documentation in my jacket from people up at the VA that deal with me constantly.
Well, I understand that, but...
Mr. Drabick, I want to thank the service. I'm a veteran too, and understand, you know, the need for a service dog. But please keep in mind, our ordinance doesn't say pets versus service dogs. It says dogs. Dog's a dog, and I understand it's an especially trained dog, and as the mayor said, it's an extension of you, and I do understand that. But then that will give you 5 dogs, and you know, and the ordinance is such that 5 dogs is too many according to what we have set up for the ordinance, and it's probably in most cities that, you know, they have a limit on the number of dogs, that probably being 4. When do you get your service dog?
I haven't put my paperwork in for it because I've been dealing with being told that I can't have more than 4.
You haven't even turned in your paperwork?
He had started his paperwork.
Okay,
And then
when did you start, Mr. Drabick?
I actually started it last year, and then
Is it on file? Is the VA working on it, or they started processing it? Yet?
the company I'm going, the group I'm going through is out of Liberty, Missouri.
But is the VA providing this, taking care of the?
No, it will be through a separate organization that provides free PTSD service dogs to veterans that need them. However, I had to be vetted, and everything has to be documented that I do need this animal.
And how far along are you in that process?
Everything is set to go, with the exception of the city ordinance being changed, stating that I can have more than 4 dogs.
Are you saying the group in Liberty has the dog, and if they give it to you tomorrow?
I can't.
I think it's about an 18-month process once you are vetted and approved, because they have to, you know, they train a dog specifically. And they kind of raise one up. They don't necessarily have one waiting right there, because they're all taken care of. And I think, is it the same as Liberty or Parkville does therapy dogs and other things? It's about an 18-month process. I mean,
I haven't sent the paperwork in because of the ordinance with the city of Leavenworth.
Well, because
Okay,
he
so
has
you're
the
looking
5
about
dogs
18.
now. He has the 5 dogs now.
you have 5 dogs now, or 4
No,
dogs?
I have
He only
4
has
dogs
4
now.
dogs now.
Okay.
Okay, but with all due respect,
I'm saying you got
folks,
18 months.
and I was there when we wrote and updated these codes, we did not take into consideration any type of service animal or the need now that's come very prevalent that veterans and other people with disabilities use service dogs. That was never part of the plan.
But it's not the service dog that's the issue, it's the 4 other dogs.
Yeah, and that, so if he does, so and I don't know if we have plans to make an ordinance, but we can make an exception that if he does have 4 dogs and a service dog, I would be willing to do that, because a service dog, it's a special need with that. Now, let me finish. I don't know what hoops we have to jump through yet on that. But that was not part of the plan, so that's going to become a more common thing within our community to do that. And it's not just for veterans, it's for people with illnesses and other disabilities that do this. So
like
that
I said,
was
it's not the
kidding.
service dog, it's the 4 other dogs.
Right, it is the 4 other dogs, but I don't think that we're going to have this situation come up very often. You're making a very limited exception, or you modify the ordinance that it's 4 dogs, or
Just exempt
exempt the service dog, yeah.
And that's what I'm asking for.
Just one quick thing. We have to be very careful on putting anything in a city ordinance about a service dog. The city is not allowed to ask about a service dog being registered.
I realize all that, that's
registration
why, yeah.
requirements for a service dog. So we can't ask for any kind. I believe he has paperwork, but I don't want to see it because the city is not allowed to ask those questions.
Okay.
So making an exemption for a service dog, we can't define service dog, nor can we ask to see any registration for a service dog, nor are there any frankly, requirements to have a service dog any kind of registered, nor the requirements that you can only have one. In the ADA, they do allow multiple service dogs per person. So it's, I don't want to get in the situation of the city registering or defining a registration of a service
And
dog.
I'm not asking to really do that, because also as a business owner, if someone comes into my business with a service dog, I cannot refuse him or refuse that dog. So I understand it's a very defined and precarious, area that you're working with, but I don't want to preclude someone from having a service dog. And like I said, I don't think that we're going to come up with 50 people in the city needing 4 dogs and a service dog. This is something that very rarely comes up. There has got to be a measure to work around this.
And when he started his process, he did only have 3 dogs. I had a dog and we got engaged and I moved in with him. So that's where the 4th
Yeah,
dog
and that's,
comes in.
and we've been briefed like
Can't
that.
help that part.
Yeah,
I
I know,
appreciate Commissioner Weekly's thoughts, and I don't disagree, but I also understand city manager. We cannot define what's a service dog. And I'm sure you're having a service dog and you're fully entitled. But I know that you can ask. I've been on a plane, and this is without exaggeration, where someone brought on a goose, and they call it the therapy goose. And you have people that go on an airplane, and I'm not saying you're this terrific, I know you're not, but once the door is open, anything is, quote, a therapy dog or a service dog, because you cannot ask what it is. The airlines, they're up to here on letting people in with what people call their therapy animal, and usually quite a few of them, not in your case, but I think they don't want to pay the freight to put them down the cargo hold. And I believe you need a service dog, but we've got a 4-dog limit. And I understand what you're going through. I still think you've got probably about 18 months before you get a dog. Go through,
But the problem is, sir, even if I wait the 18 months and I come back again, I still cannot have that dog in my residence because I have 4 other dogs.
That's correct. That's
Which
the way
means
the ordinance
I have to
is.
turn around and tell one of my daughters and my family that I have to get rid of one of the dogs that I've raised from a baby that are part of my family. Because I don't know how anybody else feels about their animals. I know how I feel.
I have
They are
animals.
my
I know
children.
I know exactly what you mean,
And
sir.
I have to turn
animals.
around
Always have them.
and give one of them up, and Lord only knows what's going to happen to them or where they're going to go. And to give them up, I have to take them down here, and y'all still charge me to get rid of them just so I can have a service dog. And I have to tell my children that I have to give up a dog that they grew up with so Dad could have a dog so he didn't go frickin' nuts.
Yeah.
That don't make no sense.
Does this commission have the power?
I mean,
or
if I
not
have to, I'll talk to the disabled
Offer this
vets.
gentleman an
I'm a
exemption?
member of
Whatever.
the Disabled Veterans.
Yeah.
You have the authority.
I
the
would
city
caution that any exemption would be, and Chief, if you want to join, would be to the number of dogs and steer completely
That's what I'm
clear
saying.
of talking about service animals.
For this individual household, we make
There
an
is no
exemption of
professional training
exceeding the 4
requirement for a
dogs.
service animal, nor can we ask, and that
We
is
can't-
our
we can't even
concern. There, we
certify
can't,
that.
we can't have a
that's-
registration, we
and
can't
I'm-
have anything along those
And I'm
lines.
not asking that. We just personally give them exemption to have 5 dogs.
Well, I'm not sure we even have to do that. I think the service dogs are exempt from any ordinance in a city in this country anyway, under the ADA rules.
They
Can't
are,
even be considered.
service
can't-
dogs have to be, cities can require registration, licensing, vaccination records of the animal. Not as a service dog, but of the animal, and that is absolutely a right of the cities to do that.
I will be more than happy to provide you at any time you want to come to my house and question me having a 5th dog. I'll provide you with anything you want.
Chief,
I go
what-
through the
what
cat
were
and
you
dog
gonna
clinic
say?
anyway.
We're sort of stuck with the ordinance says what it says. And so it's obviously a pretty sticky legal question that would require considerable thought. And so we examined, there is another provision in the ordinance which would allow more than 4 animals, regardless of what it is, if you apply for a residential kennel permit. But a residential kennel permit has certain requirements, such as the lot size. That's when the lot size comes into play, and that sort of thing. And that's what's restricting us here, is that the lot size of his current residence is simply not big enough to accommodate a kennel permit, which would allow you to go from 5 to 12. And so the staff is sort of stuck with what we have. And so if there is what it would require, regardless of whether it's a service animal or not, for us to allow this would be some sort of change to either the provisions that govern a residential kennel permit or the number of dogs. Otherwise, the answer is no, and that's where we are. It's a legal question.
On the square footage required, I know that a kennel permit, is it 5 through 12 all inclusive, or 5 takes 1,000 square feet, 6 takes 1,200, 7 takes 1,400, or
My interpretation is that once you get over 4, it requires 2,000 square feet per animal on the lot size. And so it's been a few months since I looked at it. If I recall correctly, he's in the 8,000 square foot range, and we would be in a requirement to have 10,000 square feet.
Got it. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, but then I've got an opinion now from my attorney that a service dog is exempt from this. So from staff, I think that we need a review of the ordinance and a recommendation from you and a legal opinion from our attorney.
Well, that was going to be my recommendation, is that we put this on a study session and look at it more closely. Because there's too many opinions here right now.
It will come up in a study session, and I'm hoping that we can work with Mr. Graybeck. I mean, I don't want to say we're handcuffed, but we have an ordinance and reason for it. And Mr. Graybeck's need is real, and I completely understand it. But given what the city attorney said, could someone come in with 6 dogs and say those are service dogs, and
we wouldn't be able to check
They
them.
could,
We wouldn't be able to
because we
check
can't
anything.
check. All someone has to say, service dog, and then we basically don't have a dog ordinance.
Can't even ask them why they need it.
Actually, sir, you can check.
We cannot.
We cannot.
You would have-
Not as a body, no, not as an animal.
Every service dog comes with certification paperwork.
I don't disagree with that, but somebody can just say it's a service dog, and we can't check it. Your case is legitimate. I'm not saying that, but I'm just talking about where this thing goes down the road. If somebody has
Okay, this is
6 or 8
yeah.
dogs, and they say, hey, they're all my service dogs.
Yeah, and this, I
And-
think we need a legal opinion on this, where we
Can we
stand from
study
our
this?
attorney. This
Yeah,
is,
we can put it on a study session.
Okay.
Give some more information.
Thank you for your
I just
time.
didn't
I
want
appreciate
to
it.
flat out no.
Thanks for
Yeah.
your service.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry, I got a little heated. It's just.
That's all right.
It's-
Don't worry. Hey,
Anytime we're making decisions, we have to look how it affects the whole community. So we'll look at it all, and then we'll look at your situation. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Graybeck.
Okay. Anyone else from the public like to speak here tonight? If not, we'll move on. General items, review dangerous structure at 1921 Fifth Avenue.
Julie Hurley on here this time.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On October 10th, when the commission reviewed our list of dangerous structures, this property at 1921 Fifth Avenue, the commission granted the property owner 30 days in which to begin repairs on the property. The property owner has obtained a building permit for the siding and begun that work. This is a picture from back in May of this year of the property. And this is a picture just of this morning that I took, so you can see where they're at on the progress. The additional work needing done after the siding is to replace the roof, and then the doors or windows. We're just here for an update on that. The property owner can kind of let you know where he's at in the process and where he's still planning to go.
Okay.
Yeah, my name's Doug New, and I do own the property that you see in there at 1921 Fifth Avenue.
NEU or NEW?
NEU.
Okay.
And as you see, I did get a siding permit and started the siding. We got this side done today, so I'm doing it myself, so it's going to take some time. But once I get the siding done, I'm going to start on the roof. I'm still thinking it depends on the weather too.
Right.
I'm looking probably 4 months
Okay.
yet.
So
What's
once
our
again,
timeline?
the items that put on the demo list was siding and the roof. And
Siding,
Siding,
roof,
roof.
and windows and doors.
And the vegetation.
Yeah,
That's-
we've cleared out a
You've
lot of
already cleaned-
vegetation.
You've already
Yeah,
cleaned that out.
obviously,
Yeah, I
yes.
drove by and I've seen what you've done.
Yep, it's a lot better.
Yeah, I drove by today too. Well, I live on the street, so I
Oh,
drive by
okay.
every day. So, yeah.
So-
I think Mr. New obviously has taken this, he has not completed the task, but at least he's,
On the
you know,
way.
taking the
Right.
steps.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we need a motion then, I guess.
What are,
Remove, is this to remove it?
No, you
You
need,
could
he's
remove
asking
it
for an
or give an
extension.
additional extension, whichever.
what
you
is
deem
staff's
appropriate.
recommendation?
There remains extensive roof damage, so I would.
There is or there's not?
There is. I mean, that roof's, you know,
Yeah,
so I would hate for it to stay in here. I would recommend an extension.
Extension.
Okay.
About 90 days.
To get the roof on?
Well, just
To
to
make-
see meaningful
For another
progress.
update.
A heck of a
like-
lot
Oh,
more,
for
a heck of a
another
lot
update.
more
Oh,
work.
yeah,
So you come back and
okay,
see.
I can do that, yes.
I don't
Good.
know what the other commissioners think.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
An extension would be, yeah, because the roof is in really bad shape, and
Yeah, 90 day
once it gets to
extension
the
for more.
inside, there's.
Okay, let's have a motion.
Yeah,
Madam Mayor, I'd move that we grant a 90-day extension for 1921 Fifth Avenue.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Weekly?
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank
okay,
you,
thank you
sir.
very
Mr.
much.
New, good luck.
Thanks.
Don't kill yourself on the roof. Hire somebody to do that one.
Okay, bids, contracts, and agreements. Consider the design contract with Wilson and Company, 14th and Pawnee Culvert Repair.
Madam Mayor and Commissioner, I'm going to start on this and then hand it over to our Public Works Director. This project was identified about 2 years ago when the Commission placed an emphasis on looking at stormwater projects that affected residential properties. This issue is generated from a 380-acre drainage basin, 310 acres of which is on USP property. Essentially, all of that water comes down and comes into the city just east of Metropolitan Steakhouse. The torrent of water that comes through there on high rain events causes flooding in the homes on the east side of the creek there. It is a narrow opening with a lot of water rushing through. I just want to take a minute to say that we have tried over the last year plus to work with the federal government, to work with the United States Penitentiary, the Bureau of Prisons, to try to come up with a cost-effective solution whereby we could retain some of this water on Bureau of Prison property and control the flow into the city. Not divert any of the water outside of the city, but to control the flow of the massive amount of water that comes in. We have been unsuccessful at every turn. I think we've tried everything we can. We tried the Bureau of Prisons, we tried our federal delegation, and we met with resistance throughout the process. That said, that doesn't alleviate the issues that the property owner has. So we have to face the fact that we're going to have to deal with this. It's a costly solution that we're going to now have to phase, but it's work that needs to be done. So we've gone forward with that, and tonight Mike is going to talk to you about the design contract for phase 1 of this project to help alleviate the flooding problems in this area, and specifically the property owners in the area.
Thank you. Madam Mayor and Commission, the design contract this evening is actually related to this box or wooden box culvert that's under Pawnee Street, just west of 14th Street. It is located in the study area that was part of the work that the city manager took with him to Washington. It says right here the Pawnee culvert. This is part of a larger system we examined that ranges essentially from Metropolitan Avenue south through the creek to Ottawa Street, where it merges with the larger body of 3 Mile Creek. The study looked at basically 2 primary directions on how to address some of the flooding issues. Detention on the prison property, which we've determined is not likely to happen. The other option was combinations of replacing the wooden box culvert under Pawnee Street and a much undersized culvert under Kiowa Street, along with some channel improvements. As we've mentioned in the past, and we are discussing potential stormwater fee of some sort. This project in its entirety is about a $1.3 or $4 million project, and there is not sufficient funding in our resources to handle that. The box culvert is considerably failing in the last few years. It has a lean to it. It has been eroded underneath it. It has a lot of issues, and so this is a project that would design the replacement of that, which is about probably in the $300,000 range, and it needs to be well thought out so that whatever is constructed here will blend with whatever a next phase project might be without adversely impacting upstream or downstream flows until such time as the entire solution is constructed. We're recommending that the City Commission approve the contract with Wilson and Company to design this and address these issues in amount not to exceed $33,900. We expect this to be about a 90-day design period, and the goal is to have this advertised for construction in April 2018.
Is there the possibility we could study this and then take it back to the prison again?
I'll run you
With a
through
complete
just
report.
briefly the process we went through. We approached the warden here. We went to the regional level, then we went to the Bureau of Prisons. They forwarded on to the real estate department after a back and forth, was denied. We sort of appealed, it was denied again. We reached out to Senator Roberts' office, Representative Jenkins' office. They did inquire and received information sufficient for their needs from the Bureau of Prisons that this wasn't conducive to the Bureau's future land use. So with that position from the Bureau, they considered it sort of a closed case. So at that point, I don't believe there's any further recourse at the federal level.
Okay, thank you for explaining that more completely.
Mike, where's that inflow end up in 3 Mile?
Yes, sir. It ends up, I'll go back one. This is a little difficult to see, but this is Metropolitan Avenue.
Right.
And the bottom street is Ottawa Street. This is like the bus company.
Right.
There's a creek that comes down there. There's a bridge just west of 13th Street Terrace is where this comes in. It actually comes into a branch right in this vicinity here. That there's a big section that flows west, goes under 20th Street by Benny's. It merges with that just north of Ottawa Street here off of 13th Terrace. So you have 2 crossings. You have the Kiowa crossing and you have the Pawnee crossing. There's no crossing on Dakota Street, hasn't been since I've been here.
And you don't think by replacing a box culvert, which I'm sure would be enlarging it, would create any downstream problems?
It will, and that's what the design of the project on Pawnee Street needs to be cognizant of. We've talked to the designers about a modular approach that we may make it perhaps larger than we need at this time, but we would restrict its output to mimic similar to what is there now, so we don't take the water that is now somewhat ponded behind Pawnee Street and just simply release it down to go overrun Kiowa Street. So that is part of the design, that if we do improve the project downstream, particularly at Kiowa Street, and any channel improvements, that we would be able to modify what we construct on Pawnee Street to let more water through.
Okay. Well, I've lived here for a long time. I don't recall within the last 10 years a flooding problem up in, well, I'm talking just about the last 10 years. Do you think by filling in that large ravine east of the restaurant at 16th has anything to do with this?
I don't believe it does. It's not.
Was there any storm sewers put in that?
No, sir.
Or is it just
not.
filled
There's a drainage swale that runs from the south side of Metro Steakhouse. It runs along the railroad that eventually comes in there. This doesn't zoom in very well, but there is. This is Metropolitan Steakhouse,
right?
And the water basically flows this direction and comes in at this location. That water's always come there. In fact, it probably comes there a little slower. There's a much larger flat area that will absorb the water. It certainly changed the character of the neighborhood when they constructed that large fill on the west side of the creek. But they did not directly impact the creek. If you go look upstream where the state built the culvert under Metropolitan, they have been suffering huge erosion problems on the upstream part of their culvert.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
it's a lot of water.
Any other questions on this? If not, do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we accept the design contract with Wilson and Company to the 14th Pawnee Culvert Project in the amount of up to $33,900.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting with Commissioner Rainey.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. The next item on the agenda, consider the design contract with Water Resource Solution for 16th Terrace and Thornton Phase 1 Detention Project.
Madam Mayor and Commission, we discussed this project in the same time period that we did the Pawnee project. This one, like that one, has many different areas, both where the water comes and then how then the water is managed. This will also have to be potentially phased, but we're happy where we are now and believe that Phase 1 will alleviate a lot of the concerns. So I'll again turn this over to Mike McDonald, our Public Works Director.
Thank you, sir. Madam Mayor and Commission, this is a neighborhood that has had repetitive flooding events, particularly at the cul-de-sac at the north end of 16th Terrace. We had Water Resource Solutions look at several options on how to make general improvements in the drainage improvements in the neighborhood. And there was a report to that effect, but I pulled this chart out of here. Shows it's a complicated drainage pattern overall, because the water that runs through this specific problem area here where the red circle is eventually gets into between the lots between 16th and 16th Terrace and runs south down to Vilas, and they have seen substantial lot erosion, channel width, channel depth, and we looked at evaluating ways to improve that whole stretch. And then once again, a project that solved the problems was about $1.4 million. Recognizing that the funding isn't there for that, we believe that the options that we studied, the detention basin that would be constructed on city property would improve that. This is a picture of the area that the city owns the property. We've drawn a basic outline of a detention basin. And as this original study recommended, kind of a what we're calling alternative 2, which is a combination of detention basin, some piping improvements and channel improvements down to Vilas. This is essentially part 1 of alternative 2, which is design of the detention basin that is to the north and west of the end of the cul-de-sac on property that the city already owns. I believe it was acquired at tax sale several years ago. It would be from this red dot, which is essentially where the water, the end of the existing system stops now. It becomes an open channel as you go north, and it would construct a detention basin, which we believe will favorably impact flooding in this immediate area. It doesn't address any of the other further downstream concerns, other than perhaps less water all at once is get the stream a chance to try to stabilize and grow some good vegetation to hold the banks. But this is focused totally on the detention basin. We're not looking at any pipe replacements or pipe size increases or decreases.
Okay.
And the construction on this is estimated in the $350,000 range. Similarly, 90 days, late spring, summer construction.
Both of these projects are funded in the CIP, so they would not require any additional new funding at this time.
Okay. Might be for that. Do I have any other questions of Mr. McDonald or about this project? If not, can I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd move that we approve the contract with Water Resource Solution for 16th Street Terrace and Thornton, not to exceed $38,665.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded. Please begin voting with Commissioner Weekly.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, consider bids for Planters 2 bedroom, bathroom, and linen closet door project.
Madam Mayor and Commission, I'm pinch hitting for Andrea Cheatham, who couldn't be here tonight. On November 2nd, bids were opened in the city clerk's office for the replacement bedroom, bathroom, and linen closet doors at Planters 2. This is the second and final phase of the complete door, interior apartment door project at Planters 2. We had only 2 companies submit bids. We had other ones at the pre-bid meeting, but only received 2 bids. One of those bids was incomplete. Therefore, we would recommend that the Commission approve the contract with BKM Construction in the amount of $184,245. Sufficient funds are available in the Planters 2 capital budget to complete this work.
Okay, we only had 2 bids, and one of them was incomplete. That's it for...
It didn't have all the required documentation.
Okay. Seemed like that happened with another bid we had recently. Is there any issues with that, with getting the
I don't believe
documentation
so.
that we
I would
need?
say out of the bids that we open, I can only remember maybe 2 or 3 recently in the last 6 months that have had that out of, hundreds of bids. They're just a document or 2 that is included on all bid packets that sometimes gets overlooked in submitting.
Okay. All right. So basically, we have 1 bid.
Yep.
All right.
Is this Leavenworth tax money or is this federal?
No,
money?
these are complete federal dollars. These are
That
dollars.
we manage and
Yes, the
we decide how they're
federal
gonna be
government allocates approximately $90,000 a year for the capital upkeep of Planters 2. We have a couple years backlogged. We have our current year, and then we're about to get our next year too. So we have more than sufficient funds in the project for this.
So these are monies that the federal government gives us to administer?
Yes, sir.
Right, okay. I have no other questions.
No other questions?
It definitely needs to be done, I know that.
Okay. All right, if there are no other questions, I guess we'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we grant the contract to BKM Construction for Planters 2 in the amount of $184,245.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Please begin voting. Commissioner Rainey.
Aye.
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 Motion carried. Okay. First consideration ordinance amendments to development regulations.
Julie Hurley, our city planner, will handle this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. As you'll recall, in 2016, we adopted our updated development regulations. This is what I would consider to be the first annual review of those regulations. Any document that we have and we use on a daily basis, we're constantly finding just kind of small housekeeping type items that need to be changed, language that needs to be updated to just streamline a process or clarify what we were intending the regulations to be. So this review, we've got 16 changes that we're intended to make. Again, these are all just small kind of housekeeping items. There's no policy or procedural changes proposed with any of this. The Planning Commission did consider this in a public hearing on November 6th and voted unanimously to recommend approval of all the proposed changes. I won't go through each of them individually, but if you have any questions about any of them, I can answer those for you, or we're ready for this to be placed on ordinance for first consideration.
This is mostly language then.
Yeah.
Thank you for the chain and yard sickles.
Yes,
That was not very professional.
That's bothered me since I got here, and I know a lot of other people, so it was time to
People
go.
hear that, they always, at least wake them up.
Yeah.
I do have one question.
Sure.
I think there is a slight change, not just wording, on section 4-04, gross vehicle weight, from 12,000 to 10,000.
Yep.
How will that affect some people?
It really shouldn't be too much of a change, and the reason we propose to change it to 10,000 is that is what's considered by the Kansas Department of Revenue for their classification of commercial vehicles. One of the other changes further down is adding a definition for a commercial vehicle. That is something that we look at through our code enforcement in terms of what can be parked where, and we just didn't have a definition for commercial vehicle, which made it a little bit tough to enforce that. So, and what I did was I looked around, and the Kansas Department of Revenue does have a set definition for vehicles that they license as commercial vehicles. So that seemed like a good place for us to start. If it's licensed as a commercial vehicle by the state of Kansas, we can pretty easily identify that and enforce that as the commercial vehicle. So that's the reason for that change to 10,000 gross vehicle weight.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? If not, this requires a consensus. So do we have a consensus to move forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Last item, or any other items before we go to the consent agenda? Or do we want to do that? I'm not thinking straight, sorry. Let's go ahead and do the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor and Commission, for your consideration, I'd like to move to approve claims for October 21st, 2017 through November 10th, 2017 in the amount of $2,194,262.85. The net amount for pay number 22 effective October 27th, 2017 in the amount of $319,271.65, including $11,401.34 of police and fire pension, and pay number 23 effective November 9th, 2017 in the amount of $303,196.72, and there's no fire and police pension in that period.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for the consent agenda. Please begin voting with Commissioner Rainey.
Aye.
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 Vote carried. Any other items for discussion tonight?
I have one, Madam Mayor. In County Commission meeting, I think it was yesterday, one of the commissioners brought up changing the intersection of 20th and Eisenhower, the new intersection, that's when the road's being built, from a stoplight, from a traffic signal to a roundabout. And we have a signed memorandum of understanding right here with the City of Lansing, County of Leavenworth, and Leavenworth that clearly states that a traffic signal will be put in. And that was 2 years ago, and I know there was discussion roundabout versus traffic signal 2 years ago. And the decision was traffic signal at that time. And now the situation's changed even more, which I think mandates a traffic signal over a roundabout. The amount of traffic that will be going on 20th and on Eisenhower east and west, now with the industrial park and with a housing unit of 133 units or however many it might be, is, I think a traffic signal is where what it should remain, even though we do have an agreement stating that. I would ask any citizens that are watching that are concerned, please feel free to call your county commissioner and or your city commissioner and express your opinion on whether it should be a roundabout or a traffic signal. And my position obviously is I think it should be a traffic signal based on the amount of traffic that's going to be there. And at some future date, in maybe not my lifetime, but the rest of your people's lifetime, I think you'll see 20th Street going south. It's a gravel road now on the Lansing side, but I see that expanding, hooking into McIntyre Road or something down at some point. And a traffic signal, a roundabout, I don't think it suffice. The other thing, if you can remember about 5-8 years ago, that portion of Eisenhower Road west of Walmart, I think before Walmart was put in, that was 50 miles an hour. Two-lane road was 50, and after Walmart went in, they changed it to 40. And I think the police chief or the sheriff, I don't know who had the call on that, and it was a good call. But now that that's going to be a 4-lane road, I can see that potentially going back to 50 miles an hour. I think it would hold 50-mile-an-hour traffic. But with the industrial park, trucks that are coming through, 53-foot trucks coming through, going 50 miles an hour, and all of a sudden have to slow down to 5-8 miles an hour to go through a roundabout, just wouldn't work. And then the sheer size of a roundabout, I think you'd be looking at some land acquisition. It's not just going to be that corner that you can put a circle in because you can't get trucks to turn in a real tight circumference. So they're looking at, I think, more cost. The initial cost of a roundabout, they say, is cheaper than traffic lights, but put it all together with traffic acquisition and changes, I don't think it is a savings, and I don't think it's the proper move. So I would ask any citizens that are concerned or have an opinion about, contact your city commissioner and/or your county commissioner.
Yeah, I agree. I am not in favor of roundabouts just in general, because I don't like driving through them. But to put them through an area that's not a
Semi-trailers.
residential area, that's
Yeah.
partly
Commercial
commercial, I
and
think that's just a
industrial,
safety
yeah.
hazard, industrial. That's just a safety hazard, and like I said, I don't think they'll realize the cost savings on that when they
Well,
totally examine
we've
it.
already done the work. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have already had the engineers study this before I came on the commission, so it's like, the work has already been done. There's
Yeah.
no reason to discuss it now. I mean, we can listen to
Well, I
what
think there
Bobby
is
has
reason
to
to
say.
discuss it because they say that they're going to be voting on it,
Well,
change
we'll
it,
have
but,
to talk about that.
yeah.
Anything else?
I was just gonna mention one thing you failed to mention, Mark, was on 20th, was also the expansion of the commercial zone on 20th.
Right,
Right.
right. And it's going to be much more traffic than was even anticipated when we signed the MOU a couple years ago with the sales
Yeah,
tax.
we've had a full understanding with the past commission, and I think their current commission has to honor their past commission, like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do.
It's a written agreement, that's, you know.
Yeah, it is a written agreement.
That's true.
Anything else? Right. Well, I just want to wish everybody a happy and blessed Thanksgiving coming up, and it looks like the weather might be pretty nice for us and a good holiday. So I think that's all I have to say tonight. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please begin voting, Commissioner Weekly.
Aye.
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 We are adjourned. Thank you very much.